To Mercy Focus on Haiti webinar. So my name is Betty Jean-Jérémy, and I will be your facilitator tonight. MFOH is a ministry of the Sisters of Mercy of the Americas. We support several programs in collaboration with our local partners in Gaumont, Haiti. Our CLM program, which is called Chemin la Vie Meilleure in Creole, with the partnership of Francosé, addresses the needs of super vulnerable women by helping them build a roof over their head, a latrine, which is really a restroom, and support their training for micro-enterprise. We join effort with the religious Jesus and Mary to assist students with tuition fees and meals, the elderly who are physically and mentally challenged with their daily needs, the crisis for water consumption, soil conservation, and cultivation of yard gardens have amplified. So we support, as a result, we have built for ferrocement cistern that capture the water from the rain into a cistern.
I'm sorry.
We support local partners who empower farmers with their agricultural needs. Our immersion program invites speakers who share their experiences to universities, primary Gwinnett Mercy University for now. We strongly encourage as an organization an autonomous method for support and empowerment. So at this time, Marianne Grimes, a Mercy associate, will start us off with a prayer tonight. But before she starts, I'd like to talk to you about Marianne's background. While Marianne spent years as an educator and a social worker, she was also an early proponent of fundraising and development activities in any social service organizations she supported. Marianne started the development program for the Buffalo, New York Sisters of Mercy in the 1980s. She also worked as a fundraising consultant for numerous nonprofit organizations. After retirement, she was recruited to start a development program for MFOH, Mercy Focus on Haiti. When recruited in 2014, Marianne agreed to a one-year commitment as a full-time volunteer to get the MFOH development program started. Marianne is still with us today. So much for one-year agreements is Marianne. She warns you guys, all volunteers, be prepared to be amazed and enchanted by the dedicated people of Haiti. Her words, not mine. You have the floor, Marianne, for the prayer. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let us gather our thoughts after a busy day for most of us. Put ourselves in the presence of God. Loving God, you fill all things with a fullness and hope that we can never comprehend. Thank you for leading us into a time where more reality is being unveiled for all of us to see. We pray that you will take away our natural temptation for cynicism, denial, fear, and despair. Help us to have the courage to awaken to a greater truth, greater humility, and greater care of one another. May we place our hope in what matters and what lasts, trusting in your eternal presence and love. Listen to our heart's longings for the healing of our suffering world, especially for our beloved people of Haiti. Knowing, good God, you are all are hearing us better than we are speaking. We offer these prayers in all the sacred names you are known by. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Marianne. Thank you. So let me thank David C. Adams for responding to my invitation to speak about his experiences in Haiti and share the latest updates. David is an award-winning freelance reporter, mainly writing for the New York Times and The Economist. He's a winner of the Paul Hensel Distinguished Journalism Award, the top journalism prize in Florida, and the prestigious Mary Moore's Cabot Prize by Columbia University's Graduate School of Journalism for outstanding reporting on Latin America. He spent 15 years at the Miami-based Latin America correspondent of the Tampa Bay Times, Florida's largest newspaper. He was a senior editor at Univision News and was previously Miami bureau chief for Thomson Reuters. He is the Caribbean correspondent for the Committee to Protect Journalists, the New York-based Press Freedom Organization. David has also produced several award-winning documentaries and is currently working on another about the assassination of the president of Haiti in 2021. David, we are so happy to have you tonight. Welcome. Since we are all curious about Haiti's security challenges, we will try to keep this conversation to an hour. We will try is the key word, right? So I'll start the conversation with you by asking you 3 essential questions and then open the floor to everyone, to our audience for follow-up comments and naturally questions. So I trust you guys will be muted for the first part of the presentation and then unmute yourself when you are ready to speak. So, right, we have an agreement, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Could you help check us with where the mute button is?
Oh, most definitely. The way the mute button is at the bottom of your screen, if you take a look at it, it has like a speaker all the way bottom left, all the way at the bottom. If you click on it, it will mute you.
There.
Yes, and if you want to unmute yourself, all you have to do is click on it again and you will be unmuted. There's also an opportunity for you to put your question in the chat. Can you guys see the chat? Right, so you can write your questions on the chat and Marianne will, sort of let us know if there's a burning question that needs to be addressed. Any other questions?
I have to wash these pants.
Comments? Are we good to go?
Oh.
All right, awesome. So, David, naturally, my first question has 3 parts. So I cheated a little when I said I have 3 burning questions because the first one is 3. So really, we can start with whatever comments, anything you would like to add from what I just said. And then Willie, how did you come to cover Haiti? Why? And
well, I had decided as a young journalist in Britain, where I grew up, to try my hand as a foreign correspondent. And in 1987, I was at that time. You're all old enough to remember. It's funny I say that because a lot of people I speak to aren't old enough to remember. But you all remember Oliver North and Iran Contra, during the Reagan administration, and I was fascinated by that. So I thought Central America was an interesting place to go, and so I flew off to Honduras in 1987. First of all, to learn some Spanish because I didn't speak Spanish. Being a Brit, we're raised with French. It's obligatory to learn French at least until 16 in England. And I had taken French beyond that into university. And so I had a fascinating time in Central America. And being in Central America, being in the Caribbean basin, I was also naturally keeping an eye on Cuba and Haiti. And while I was there, shortly after I arrived in Central America, shortly before I got to Central America, the Duvalier dictatorship had been overthrown. And a year later, they had terribly bloody elections in 1987. And sadly, the military took power. But it wasn't altogether a bad thing because it was a military junta. There was more fighting between the military factions than there was repression of the population. And eventually the Honduran military agreed to allow free and fair elections. I had gone to Haiti for the first time in 1988. It was under General Nanfi. In Haiti, they called him Nanfi II, Nanfi II, because he actually was president twice, briefly on both occasions. And he actually wasn't a bad guy as military dictators go. So we then, we had this election, which I guess we were all kind of pretty dubious about in 1990. Dubious because the previous one in 1987 had been such a disaster, and it was very bloody. In fact, there were some journalists even killed. And it was so bloody that the results, they never completed the election. And so when the elections came around in November 1990, people were, very concerned, wondering, how it would turn out. And to, everyone's amazement, there was a tremendously vigorous election campaign, and out of nowhere emerged this very, very charismatic priest, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, very much out of the Liberation Theology Church, a great orator, a rather fiery orator, a little bit too hot for some people. And he won by a landslide. I remember being election night, just watching Haitians almost writhing in laughter when the results were coming in, counting the ballots. And it was just every ballot, every vote was for him. And the elite, the Haitian elite, had this candidate, Marc Bazin, who was considered to be, this, I think he was a World Bank economist. He was considered to be this, very capable, well-prepared technocrat. But the Haitian population wanted something different. And so they rejected the political technocrat for something fresh. I won't go any further than that because obviously what happened, Aristide was overthrown in a military coup less than a year later, and we went back to military rule, and then Aristide was brought back by the Clinton administration. And I just basically, to answer your question, Betty, I just got sucked into that story. It was fascinating being there, witnessing, a kind of a second Haitian revolution. And then just so terribly sad to see it all be put down again. Mm-hmm. And Aristide did come back to power. It was a glorious moment when he flew in on a helicopter with, thanks to the Clinton administration, and was returned to the palace. I was there for that too. When I look back on that, that was in 1994. When I look back on that, apart from the fact that it's now a long time ago, it was the palace. For any of you who've seen photographs of the National Palace in Haiti, it was a glorious, beautiful white wedding cake type building. And, so sad. It was so sad in 2010 after the earthquake to see it lying in a pile of rubble. I have a beautiful picture of my son, who I had taken to Haiti for the first time as a 12-year-old, standing in front of the palace when it was still there, just a few months before, during Thanksgiving of 2009. And the palace looks spectacular. And, it still hasn't been rebuilt. It's now used for some government functions. In fact, the new prime minister, or the new government was actually kind of sworn in there. They had to make a bit of a run for it because there was a lot of gunfire around the palace. It's in an area which the gangs, unfortunately, have taken control of, until just in the last week or so. So that was my introduction to Haiti, sort of watching the euphoria of democracy and then the tragedy of democracy. I wouldn't say unraveling, I would say more like being crushed to where we are today.
Thank you so much. I do remember the palace. It was the jewel of Haitian people. We were not permitted to get close to it because it took probably three or four neighborhoods just to get a little glimpse at it. But my next question, you mentioned President Clinton and Aristide, for sure. What role do you think, in your opinion, does the United States play in the development of Haiti? I said development, mostly, political.
Well, I mean, for good or for bad, the United States is Haiti's close neighbor. It's the most powerful country in the world. You can't be an island off the south coast of Haiti, of the United States, with the United States sort of towering over you without it affecting you. And one would hope that in an ideal world, that would be a benevolent relationship of a large and generous country towards a small and poor and powerless country. But curiously, for many years, the United States has viewed Haiti as a threat. It's hard to believe, really. How could Haiti be a threat? And the United States governments, for many years, allowed dictators, the Duvalier dictatorship, to rule Haiti because it suited their interests. It kept communism at bay. And when I first arrived there, that was still kind of the name of the game for U.S. foreign policy in the Western Hemisphere. It was the Cold War and keeping the Russians and communist ideology out of the hemisphere. That's what I witnessed in Central America, particularly in El Salvador and Nicaragua, and then obviously also in Haiti. And Haiti being next door to Cuba, obviously, and there being a quite close ties between the north of Haiti and the southeast of Cuba. Fidel Castro was famously raised by a family in Santiago de Cuba with Haitian house servants. So lately, I mean, no administration views Haiti today as a political threat. The end of the Cold War kind of put an end to that. But unfortunately, today, Haiti is seen more as a national security threat and an immigration threat because of drug trafficking through the Caribbean. Haiti's become a major transshipment point for Colombian cocaine. Most of the cocaine used to Some of it would go through the Caribbean, some of it would go through Mexico. The Mexicans these days seem to be more interested in heroin, because there's a lot of opium poppies that grow there, and synthetic drugs because of the enormous supply of precursor chemicals from China. And a lot of the cocaine these days is back to flowing through the Caribbean. And it doesn't take a lot of cocaine and drug money to corrupt a small island government like Haiti's. So I think that is a legitimate threat. If you believe that the war on drugs is a legitimate war, and that cocaine and other drugs should be illegal substances. And there's a big debate on that. The Economist, for whom I do some work, famously years ago said that legalizing drugs, including cocaine, would put an end to the drug war and would provide some respite to countries like Haiti that don't consume drugs, but are the victims of drug traffickers and corrupt politicians. And we saw some of that involved in the assassination of President Moise. And then there's the immigration issue. I probably don't need to even try and explain that to you all, because you'd have to be living in outer space not to know about the debate over the border, the southern border, and the fact that many of the people coming across the border are Haitians. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. It's I have another question, but as you're talking about the role the United Nations, I mean not United Nations, the United States is playing in Haiti, I've heard this over and over again. Diaspora here in the United States, they ask themselves that question over and over again. Why is the United States playing such a passive role in what's happening in Haiti, and actually asking the Kenyan or influencing the Kenyans or the government of Kenya to send support to Haiti when in fact they are next door and don't want to touch the war in Haiti or the insecurity?
Well, you can go back to 1804 and Haitian independence. Haiti was the first independent Black republic in the world. It was the first independent republic in the Caribbean of any color. And it was only the second independent nation in the whole Western Hemisphere after the United States. When Haiti won its independence, the United States still hadn't abolished slavery. And so the Americans did not look favorably on these slaves who had revolted. And they joined in basically an embargo of Haiti. The French were even worse, having lost their colonial possession. They basically blockaded it, and they imposed a massive tax on Haiti, which it took decades for Haiti to repay. The United States later occupied Haiti. The National Palace was built was designed by American architects and built by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. I mention all of that, plus what I talked about before, the U.S. role in with the Duvalier dictatorship, the U.S. role in trying to support democracy and putting Aristide back in power, even though some U.S. agencies were implicated in his overthrow because of their deep ties with the Haitian military. So fast forward to today, there's a tremendous suspicion in Haiti of U.S. meddling and U.S. interests in the country. That's largely a mistrust on the left. To simplify things, you have nationalists on both the left and the right in Haiti who don't want the United States, who'd like the United States to stay away. On the right, the they'd rather just have the country to themselves, and allow the Haitian elite to continue to do business and be millionaires, without being bothered by, democracy. On the left, they would like to have an independent Haiti where the Haitian millionaire elite class gets pulled down, and the wealth is spread, and there's a genuine participatory democracy, and that the United States stay out of that too. The problem is that neither of those two models works. When we would love it if Haiti could run itself as a functioning democracy, all by itself. But it's shown itself, unfortunately, to be incapable of that. Some will argue that that's because they've never really been given a proper chance. But right now, the situation that the United States found itself looking at, of the Biden administration, was a collapsing, after the assassination of the president in 2021, was a collapsing state with gangs taking control, prompting a massive exodus of more Haitians. This time not in boats, but this time over the border, over the US southern border. So, given all of the history of suspicion of the United States and previous military interventions, the Biden administration decided that they needed to try something different, and that if they were going to go into Haiti, they were never going to have the support of the political class, particularly on the left, if they did it themselves. So they had to kind of create a cloak of legitimacy by doing it kind of through surrogates. So they did the smart thing in many respects. They went to CARICOM, which is the Caribbean Regional Coalition of Governments.
Oh, yeah.
And they said, look, you put this together, we'll help you, we'll finance it, but it needs to be kind of it needs to have your stamp on it. And we're not going to provide troops. We'll provide money, but we need to find the troops in somewhere else. So they went, and it took them the better part of a year. They went out looking for foreign governments who were willing to provide police, and that's how they came along with the idea of Kenya. There are other countries too that have volunteered to send police, but really it was out of a concern by the Biden administration that a U.S. intervention, a direct U.S. intervention with boots on the ground, would not be acceptable by a large segment of Haitians, but actually, of course, wouldn't be acceptable in the United States. There's obviously, given everything that's gone on since the war in Iraq, there's a tremendous trepidation in the United States about deploying U.S. forces abroad, and with the ongoing war in the Ukraine absorbing a lot of military resources, there's just no stomach for it in the United States. Maybe if Biden had a big majority in Congress, he would have chanced his arm in Haiti, but that obviously we know that's not the case. So they came up with this as the sort of the plan B. It's very early days. Obviously, the Kenyans have only just arrived. So far, only 200 of them. And we'll just have to see if it works.
Yes, great segue to my last question, I promise you guys. So how will security be restored after these months, year of gang violence? And what's the hope of restoring democracy in Haiti?
Well, I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that.
Well, that's the $1 million question.
I mean, look, you're all religious people. So I think, you have to put your faith in God on this one. Because it is an incredibly difficult task. I was talking to a colleague yesterday in Paris from the French TV network, France 24. And they were just in Haiti making a documentary about life It's coming. It'll be very good. I recommend it. It's coming out on July the 20th. About life in Haiti under gang rule.
Oh, nice.
And they were describing to me how difficult the problem is because some of these gangs are so deep rooted in the communities now, not necessarily popular, but I'll give you this one example. The World Food Program and other aid agencies, like Food for the Poor, that are providing food to the Haitian, the most needy communities, and this probably goes includes a lot of church groups as well. In some communities, the gang control is so embedded that they have no choice except to drop the food supplies off. They can't go into the because of the concerns for the security of their own people. They can't distribute the food themselves. They drop it off at a central collection point where the gangs pick up the food, and it's the gangs who distribute the food. So Barbecue, if you've all heard of Barbecue, who's the most feared gang leader, former policeman, he has, as a major part of his operation, is distributing the United Nations food aid. So not only does he have control by the gun in those communities, and obviously he's ruthless. Anyone who stands up to him is basically executed. The population depends on him for their food. I'm sure most of them would rather not depend on him for their food, but it does give him a tremendous hold over the community, especially because before he was doing that, the government wasn't. Aid agencies were doing their best to provide food to the most needy parts of Port-au-Prince, and the international aid program is massive in Port-au-Prince. So the question, Betty, is how will this new the Kenyans, there's only 200 of them right now. There's going to be 2,500 in total, with others coming from other countries, working with under the Haitian police. And don't be fooled. The US, they don't have boots on the ground, but they have sort of the next best thing to it. They have kind of retired SWAT, police, SWAT team type police, and retired military embedded in the Haitian police. There's not many of them. There's only, I think, about 15 of them as part of a State Department program. But they're providing a lot of expert advice and now intelligence and equipment. So we're seeing armored personnel carriers, but we're also seeing drones where they have built an intelligence center which can in real time listen to gang leaders' telephones and use drone and satellite technology to pinpoint where the gang leaders are, presumably so that there can be surgical strikes into those zones where the gangs have control. I'm sure all of you are familiar with the kind of rabbit warren streets of the Haitian slums. I mean, I think a rabbit would have a hard time getting around City Soleil, apart from the fact that it would be grabbed and eaten in a heartbeat. We're talking about some of the most impenetrable type slum situations that an armored personnel carrier can't go down. And most, think of Fallujah. If you remember the battle for Fallujah in Iraq, narrow streets, buildings infested with gunmen, an absolute nightmare scenario for any kind of uh, police operation with snipers everywhere. The gangs are not very well disciplined. They're very well armed, but most of their soldiers, so to speak, are young men. A lot of them are boys. They have very little. They have little or no training, but they seem to have lots of guns and lots of ammunition, and so they open fire wildly. But they're not very disciplined, and so this is kind of, it's not a guess because I've interviewed the INL advisors. You know, they do believe that they can go into these areas and take back control, but I fear it's going to be bloody and costly, and painfully slow. But we saw it just yesterday or the day before yesterday. They did move into an area of downtown, and they took back control of the state hospital, which was an important step. It had been completely looted and destroyed by the gangs, but now it is back in government, and we're going to see a lot of that. They'll start with key installations, you know, government installations, like the state hospital, which is also a university training hospital. And we'll see more of these one by one, these important government public installations back under civilian control, government control. And then at some point, they're going to, I guess, go into the neighborhoods where the gangs are. I expect, first of all, they'll try and persuade them. They'll try some kind of a disarmament program. They'll offer money for guns. They'll try and dialogue with the gangs. But when you have gang leaders who have, you know, scores, maybe hundreds of kidnappings and executions attributed to them, there's very little that the government can offer other than, you know, a long jail sentence. And by the way, of course, they don't have any jails to put them in because, well, they have some, but some of the biggest jails were all destroyed in March. And looted and burned down by the gangs. So they need to build some prisons too.
Thanks to barbecue.
Yeah.
So thank you, David. At this time, I'd like to open the floor for anyone with questions. When I say please unmute yourself and feel free to ask David any questions that you may have. And thank you, sir, for my curiosity, you know, the questions that I had for you.
No, my pleasure. Good questions, Betty.
Sure, thank you. Because I'm navigating through screen, you can just unmute and start talking.
There's also a button where you can put your hand up too.
Yes. If you go under reaction. Yes, go ahead, Martha.
Can you hear?
Oh,
I'm wondering if anyone is doing any training of the local police and others that are trying to deal with the bad guys.
Yes, well, it's, you know, one of the big issues that one of the criticisms that's been made of this Kenyan operation is that, you know, why don't we just let the Haitian police do it? And the fact of the matter is there just aren't enough Haitian policemen. An astonishing number of Haitian policemen actually opted for President Biden's parole program and quit and came to the United States. So they're low on numbers. They are being trained. There is a functioning police academy, which the US funds, and they are graduating new police recruits all the time. But of course, you know, there's attrition. I think there's been more than 20 policemen killed just in the last 6 months. A lot of them don't show up for work. They're off sick. And like I said, a fair number of them have left the country. So the idea is that the Kenyans will, I mean, that training program is going to continue. Obviously, the US and the new Haitian government want to train as many Haitian policemen as they can. The idea of the Kenyans being there is to give them the kind of backup and the boost in numbers that they need to take on this big challenge now. The general consensus is that the Haitian police can't do it on their own. Maybe if we had had more faith in the Haitian police in the past and built them up, starting some years ago, that would be an option. But the response to that is, well, actually, we did that under Aristide. The U.S. rebuilt. If you remember, under Aristide, they abolished the military, and the U.S. Trained a large number of civilian policemen in the United States and provided them with guns. But unfortunately, those police were corrupted. A fair number of them became drug traffickers. A fair number of them became political enforcers for Aristide's regime in the latter years of his second government, which became extremely violent and corrupt. A lot of the police ended up working for the drug traffickers. So that attempt by the United States failed. There is an international effort. The Canadians, the French, even the British are putting money into the police to try and help them stand them up once again with the backing of the Kenyans.
Thank you, David. Marian, I think if you don't mind, Adele Del Valle, I know, Alex, you raised your hand and you even wrote in the chat. If you would like to give Adele a chance
Yes.
first. Yeah. You are on mute.
Oh, there.
Okay, you're good.
Uh-huh. I'm okay now?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, related to what you've just been talking about, that's my concern, that there would just be a bloodbath with these well-armed Kenyans and others coming in, armed to the hilt, and going roughshod into the homes wherever, in the name of trying to get the gangs out of power. What is the safeguard for those poor people who are simply vulnerable? I don't see it.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was thinking, well, it's kind of like Gaza, a place I know well. I lived in Gaza as a young man in 1980, which is also a rabbit warren. The Israeli strategy in Gaza has been to tell the innocent people to evacuate the zones where they're going to attack. We all know that that's been very indiscriminate, and huge numbers of civilians who evacuated have actually been bombed in the places they evacuated to. So I certainly don't endorse that kind of strategy. But if it was done perhaps in a more humane way, it's a strategy that could be employed in Haiti. You encourage people to leave the zones under gang control before the police go in. Now, for the civilians in those gang-controlled areas, that's possibly harder to do than it sounds, because the gangs are perfectly capable of shooting people in the back if they start to leave those neighborhoods. Because unfortunately, just like Hamas does in Gaza, the gangs use the civilians as a human shield. And they know full well that there would be a bloodbath, and that it would look very bad from the government's point of view and from the US's point of view if there were huge civilian casualties. So, Adele, to be perfectly honest, I'm just a journalist. I don't know a lot about police or military strategy. I have witnessed a lot of police and military operations. and I kind of know quite well how they operate, and I also know what the situation on the ground in Haiti is like. Whatever plan they come up with, it's going to have to be incredibly well thought out, and they will have to be so careful to limit the civilian casualties, because this thing could go horribly wrong very quickly if the civilian casualties are high. And then the Haitian population, when it gets pissed off, can get extremely angry, and you could have massive
Yes.
street protests, and it would
Well,
be
I
a
know.
tremendous shame if this new very promising prime minister, Gary Conille, had to deal with that. I mean, the one good thing that's going on in Haiti right now is that they got rid of the ghastly government that they had after the assassination of Prime Minister Ariel Henry, who's now somewhere in Southern California, licking his wounds. And we now have actually a really quite good government in place. It's the best thing that's happened in Haiti in a long time. Gary Conille is a highly respected former UNICEF senior official. He's put together a quite competent cabinet, and one hopes that he would put the brakes on any kind of effort to go into the slums of Port-au-Prince with guns blazing. I don't believe he would stand for that.
Well, that sounds hopeful.
Thank you,
In a
David.
place that's,
So there's Alex, and then I will read a few questions that are related in nature, David, so you can just answer all of them at once. So
Sure.
Alex,
Okay, thank you for your presentation, Mr. Adams. I join myself in your historic and present facts about Haiti. Actually, I did a presentation about like poverty in Haiti and the role of media in my class a couple months ago. Talking about incapacity of democratic leadership in Haiti. So let's go back to Haiti's independence. Haitians fought for their independence against the biggest army at that time, the French. So why don't the Biden administration or the previous U.S. government let the Haitian army and cops to do the job? Because they are more than the Kenyan soldiers, and they know the Haitian culture better. So I've been learning about self-determination for real changes instead of using foreigners if we really want to change people's lives and conditions. So we all know like previous missions brought cholera. They raped girls and women in Haiti. They abused and killed Haitians. And they also costed Haiti much more money than the Haitian cops and army, who could do a better job and get better paid, better equipped, instead of using the money that like to bring the Haitians down to Haiti again.
Right. Well, look, I think the United Nations gets a bad rap. It's true that there were a few ill-disciplined troops in the last United Nations mission. I mean, the last United Nations mission, if you remember, it lasted from 2004 until 2017.
17.
So, that's 13 years. I hate to say this, but I don't think you can expect a foreign troop presence in a poor country like Haiti without sadly, without a few bad apples um, uh, uh, doing bad things. It's just unfortunately the way things tend to work. American troops have done it. Foreign troops do it all the time. In actual fact, the abuses that happened in Haiti, horrible as they were pretty limited in scope. And the cholera, I mean, the United Nations didn't deliberately bring cholera to Haiti. It was a tragic piece of bad logistics. They had a Bangladeshi unit that was on I forget the name of the river, and they were allowing them to poop in the river. And they were Bangladeshis, and Bangladesh has cholera. So they should have had, more sanitary latrines. But the idea that somehow the United Nations is responsible for, for those of you who didn't know this, unfortunately, cholera had been eradicated from Haiti. So that's the kind of the double tragedy that it was the United Nations forces that reintroduced cholera to Haiti. And then, Alex, what really sort of made things bad was the way the United Nations handled it. If the United Nations had been transparent and honest about what had happened, instead of trying to cover it up, which is what they did, I think it would have been more acceptable. It's a classic example, and it could be a case study for a class in government PR. If you do something wrong, just admit it. Accept there's going to be some liability, and just because if you try and cover it up and if you deny responsibility, you're just going to make a whole bigger problem. So I think that's part of the reason why the United Nations got such a bad rap in Haiti, is because they handled it so badly. Now, the situation today, that's why, by the way, to answer the previous question about why is the US doing things the way they are, why is the United Nations doing things the way they are? Why isn't this a United Nations operation? For exactly the same reason. The United Nations is worried about its reputation in Haiti. But when you look at all of the mouths that the United Nations has fed in Haiti, all of the tremendous efforts that the United Nations has made in Haiti, I do think that more greatly outweighs anything negative that the United Nations has done in Haiti. The United Nations has a huge role to play in Haiti, and it should continue to do so. Yes, the UN employees, they make nice salaries. They drive around in nice SUVs. But hey, you've got to give some enticement to people to, it's not a tea party being posted to Haiti for a foreign diplomat or a United Nations officer. They have to be offered some kind of compensation for being away from their families, from whichever country they're from. And in my experience, most of them do a fantastic job, and are really committed to, representing the United Nations the best way they can. But, at some point, we have to change the approach to Haiti. There has to be much more training the teachers. There has to be much more passing down knowledge and experience and skills to allow the Haitians to take control of their own destiny, because it can't go on like this. I worry that what we're seeing right now is the last chance that Haiti's got. Because the tragedy is that if you left the situation to the Haitian police, many, many more people would die than under a United Nations approved operation like the one we're seeing. The Kenyans are going to be much, much more trigger shy than Haitian police are. I've been dealing for the last few months, in my capacity as the committee to protect journalists. In the last few months, I've been dealing with so many Haitian journalists who've been victims of the Haitian police. Right now, I'm one poor young man on February the 8th, during some anniversary of February protests. He was covering a demonstration, and a Haitian policeman opened fire on the demonstrators with tear gas. But instead of firing the tear gas in the air, he just fired it straight at them, and it hit this poor young man in the eye, and he lost one of his eyes. And the Committee to Protect Journalists, we've been helping his family. He's had 3 operations. and I just yesterday was um, um, doing some paperwork for him to get a pair of glasses because he can't, he doesn't have, he's lost his means of income. He has a wife and a small child. He can't even afford a pair of glasses. So we're getting him a pair of glasses. And that, unfortunately, the Haitian police, despite their training, they, they kind of shoot first, ask questions later. And let's also address the other issue that the Haitian police are very poorly paid. The Haitian state doesn't have the money to pay them decent salaries, and so they're very susceptible to bribery. In fact, one of the dirty secrets in Haiti right now is, and one of the reasons why the police chief was just fired, is because a lot of the police work on the side for private security companies because they can get paid more money that way. One of the reasons why you don't see policemen on the street in Haiti is because they're all working for big fat cat millionaires, providing security to their homes and their companies. The head of the police, who just was fired, he had his own private security company, and he was taking police off their beat to do private jobs for him. That's how corrupt the Haitian police is. So anyone who suggests that the Haitian police should be left to run the security of Haiti is asking for even more trouble than the trouble that the country's in already. Barbecue is a former police. Most of the gang leaders are all former policemen.
Well,
Oh.
I don't know. I have more questions. Thank you for the
Yes, if
answer.
you don't
but
mind, Alex.
yeah, there are other people that are asking questions, but
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you so much. What
We
I
can
would
come
I
back
would
to you,
like to
Alex.
honor
Could
David,
I ask a
if you
question?
Patricia, just 1 second, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
We're at 7, and I'd like to ask David if you don't mind giving us
Yeah.
another 5
Go
or
ahead.
10. Okay. I'd like to
I can do
honor.
15 more minutes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'd like to honor the folks who have written in the chat. I'll read the questions to you because mostly they are related, and then you can just answer these questions. Will that work?
Yeah, in fact, if you like, I'll look at them too.
Yeah, you can look at them. So we have Terry's question, Willie, what is being done to curtail drugs and guns into Haiti, which is related to Angie McParlin's question. We know that the guns are largely armed by guns originated in the United States. What is your take on stemming
Yeah,
that?
look, I've spoken to U.S. officials about this a lot. In fact, I'm in Miami, and the Department of Homeland Security has an operation here in Miami that works in the Caribbean, Homeland Security investigations. They do a lot of investigations in Haiti. One of the curious things, U.S. law enforcement doesn't have a very big presence in Haiti. In fact, the FBI didn't have a presence at all until very recently. The DEA is the only U.S. government law enforcement agency that has been in Haiti for some time. And they're not interested in democracy except to the extent that they're trying to stop drug traffickers and drug money laundering. And unfortunately, the DEA haven't done a particularly good job either. There's right now a big whistleblower scandal involving the DEA and corruption by DEA. And to give you an idea of how bad the situation is, the Haiti.
Somehow I can't hear you, David.
Sorry? You can't hear me?
We lost the audio.
No,
I
can't hear you.
hear him. I can hear him.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
It may just be you, Betty. I'm sorry.
I know it could be just me, but thank God it's just me. Go ahead.
Okay. I've spoken to former DEA agents in Haiti, and they say that the Haitian police has an anti-drug unit, but it doesn't have any money to do operations. So every time they do an operation, they have to come to the United States or come to the DEA and ask them for money from petty cash to mount an operation. And so those operations are often mounted jointly. But there's an investigation into the head of the DEA office there who was taking kickbacks. He was giving money to the head of the anti-drug unit and the anti-drug unit chief was giving him half of the money back to put in his pocket. They were splitting half the money between the two of them. Unfortunately, the DEA sometimes isn't clean either. The drug traffickers, unfortunately, are very powerful in Haiti. Periodically, they get taken down, but they're very quickly replaced by other drug traffickers. That's one of the problems of the drug war. You take one cartel down, and then all you're doing is opening the door to another one. So the U.S. drug war in Haiti has been extremely unsuccessful. They do have the Haitian police does have now some quite good SWAT team units. They have an anti-gang unit, and these SWAT teams who, when the gangs meet them, the gangs run away. So it's not all lost for the Haitian police. They do have some good, well-armed, well-equipped, well-trained units, but there are a handful. I mean, the Haitian police force is only about 10,000 strong, and of that, they have about 800 dedicated to anti-gang, anti-drug, and SWAT team units. So, I mean, can you imagine 800?
Yeah.
I mean, the
Yeah.
Miami police force has got more SWAT teams than that, and that's for the whole country.
Wow.
So they are completely overwhelmed. And compared to the gangs, we're talking the gangs. They're probably 3 or 4 times as many gang members as there are police.
Wow.
Somebody I saw was asking about rural areas.
Yeah.
The gang problem isn't limited to Port-au-Prince. The gangs have spread out into other areas, particularly into the Artibonite in central Haiti, which is the kind of the breadbasket traditionally of Haiti. They've taken over entire towns in central Haiti. There are gangs operating there too. The gangs don't just operate in the capital. And they have totally terrorized some of those neighborhoods. Again, I've dealt with journalists who've had to flee from some of those towns. One town in particular called Liancourt. The gangs just completely terrorized the entire population, burned down the local radio station. And, you talk about the United Nations being guilty of, or United Nations members being guilty of raping. If the United Nations have been guilty of raping a dozen people in Haiti, the gangs have raped thousands, tens of thousands of people. So I kind of get frustrated when people come down hard on the United Nations. The United Nations is not the problem in Haiti. They could do it. We can all do a better job. They could do a better job. And they can certainly do a better job giving Haitians the training and the tools to more effectively run the country themselves. But that's going to take a long time, a very persistent strategy. But we do, I think the big lesson of all of these years that I've been watching Haiti, the big lesson is that we need to help the Haitians to help themselves. We can't just go in there and tell them what to do. We need to listen to them. We need to listen much, much more to them. And then we need to address those the requests that they have, and see how we can best give the Haitians the tools to run the country themselves, because we can't run it forever. Right now, Haiti, it's amazing that Haiti has survived through this nightmare of the last few years. It's incredible to me that supermarkets still operate in Haiti. Children still go to school in Haiti. They really hit rock bottom. I don't think there's anywhere lower to go. It can only be up from here. Otherwise, there really is no hope for the country. But the one thing I'd like you all to take away from this conversation is that Haitians are incredibly resilient. We should never give up on them. There are, for all the people doing terrible things, there are 10 times as many people doing, 100 times as many people doing great things in Haiti. That includes church groups and relief workers, all kinds of amazing humanitarian efforts that have helped the country survive these awful years. So Haiti does have a lot of resilience and a lot of human capital. Sadly, a lot of that human capital has left the country. And hopefully, if this government and this international effort works, people will be encouraged to go back. Because I really seriously worry that there won't be another chance. If this fails, I can't see how anybody, the United States, the United Nations, the French, the Canadians, will be prepared to put another cent into Haiti. They'll just put ships around it and cut it off from the rest of the world, and then see what happens.
You must have really did some research, you must have done some research and went to our website, because that's exactly what MFOH is about. Empower the people in Goma and Haiti, give them the tool to run programs, to really take over their own programs, run it, and we support them. Just like I mentioned at the beginning. So they are doing the work, we are supporting them. And I've seen somebody, you've said it nicely, somebody just asked, what can we do? I think with this, Haitians are very resilient. Haitians, they see the glass half full for some reason, because they continue to dance. They continue to bring such a joyful spirit every time we talk to them, even though you hear about gangs, gun violence, every time you hear about things that would frazzle us, but they come back stronger than ever. And we can't really give up on them, because if they bring that type of energy to the table, we want to be here to continue to support and to help this kid go to school. Like you said, it's going to take a while. And the best way to do this is to empower them, let them know that they can move forward and build their own future. These kids will grow up knowing that their parents, build that cistern where everybody's getting water from. Their, mom, they have a place and they're cooking just because of that. You have the agriculture, you have other programs that are being built. It's, of course, naturally I'm biased because I represent Mercy Focus on Haiti. A lot of organizations are doing the same way. But since it is Mercy Focus on Haiti webinar, I want to say that we do it much better than others because they're not here. Right, David?
Yeah. No, well, I always tell people, Betty, that what's the best thing that you as individuals can do. I always tell people there's no need to reinvent the wheel. There are lots of Haitians doing great things in Haiti. And if you want to help, just identify a group that is doing, can be a small group that's doing good work in Haiti. We don't need to go and tell them how to do it or show them how to do it, because they're already doing it, but they don't have much in the way of resources. And a little bit of money in Haiti can go a long way. If there's a group that's doing good work, you can send them a small amount of money and it'll be a big help. Just, look, I don't know how many people there are here on this chat, but just imagine a little bit goes a long way, especially if it's a lot of people who are giving. I'll give you an example. I've been working in Haiti for a long time. My wife had been watching me going to Haiti and sometimes worrying about me a bit. And so I always wanted to take her and my son to Haiti. And so, like I told you, in 2009, we went, and we had a fabulous trip over Thanksgiving. And unfortunately, then just, 2 months later, the earthquake happened. And my wife and my son were horrified because they recognized some of the places. They'd seen Haiti with their own eyes, and they were horrified to see the earth. So my wife, she's a school principal, she took some of her teachers and volunteered to go and work in the camps for the displaced people, and particularly working with some of the orphans. A great organization called, in Spanish, it's called NPH, Nuestros Pequeños Hermanos. I forget what it's called in English, but it's a Catholic organization. They have a hospital, St. Damian's Hospital, in Port-au-Prince, and they do fabulous work. It's the only free pediatric hospital, I think, in Port-au-Prince. And so my wife volunteered a few times with them, and then eventually she said to me, David, I want to do more. What can I do? So I said, well, look, like what I just told you.
All right.
Don't, you don't have to do anything except find somebody who's doing something useful and help them. So she actually found a little school in a little community in the southwest of Haiti that was struggling, a community school, with a Haitian American in Boston from Les Cayes in the southwest, who was working, trying to build a little hotel, a community market, a community garden, and that was now 12 years ago. My wife now runs that school for 135 kids. She does it all from here. She pays all the salaries from here using Western Union. She goes down there as often as she can. She hasn't been lately. She takes school children, high school children from Miami for community service at Easter and Thanksgiving. They get an incredible eyewitness experience of Haiti. They all love Haiti. They all come back raving about Haiti. And, that school, throughout all of the violence of the last 3 years, it never closed. It's been operating uninterrupted this whole time. My wife wishes she could get down there because it's the road between Les Cayes and Port-au-Prince is extremely dangerous. You can't really travel on it. So she's only been, the last time she was there was I think it was in August of 2021. She's hoping to go back soon if security is restored. She does a big fundraiser here where we live every year. She runs the school probably on a budget of no more than probably less than $100,000 a year, and they do more than just more than the school. They rebuild homes for the teachers and the community. They had a hurricane, so she did a lot of rebuilding of roofs. They built a computer center together with, again, all together with this Haitian American, Patrick Lucien, in Boston. They have this now, the beautiful market, computer center, vegetable garden. It's a tiny little drop in the bucket, but it makes a big difference in that community.
It does, and that's exactly what we do too. Thank you so much for sharing this with us, because what it does, we continue to provide the same support, and we feel that so many of us here in the state are doing the same thing. A lot of people present here feel that they wish they could go back to Haiti if security was restored, and we pray for that. So
Yes.
thank you. And let me just thank you so much, David. Thank you. We appreciate your talk. We appreciate the energy you bring tonight, and it's wonderful. I am so glad I had a chance to meet you, talk to you, and I know we'll stay in contact.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's great to see, so many people interested in Haiti. And, stay engaged. Hopefully good things are going to happen. Like I say, they're in a desperate situation, but I never give up. Hoping that things will get better in Haiti. And one has to believe in the human spirit, and hopefully they can get through this and come out stronger and better at the end. And there's a lot we can do to support them. There's a lot the United States can do to support them. It's sad that the United States is nervous about helping Haiti because of all of the ideological and historical issues that have gone on. But that doesn't mean that we should stop and give up. Haiti needs help. It really does need help.
Yes. And do you promise that you come back and talk about your book when it's done?
Yeah. Well, I'm making a documentary about
a documentary.
I'll be happy to talk about that when it comes out next year.
Exactly. So we'll be happy to hear more about it. In the meantime, so please, I sign up to volunteer with MFOH Mercy Focus. Donation is acceptable in any mean, whether it's check, cash, we take money.
Bitcoin.
If it is money, we'll take it. We'll find a way to process it. And also, it's not just financial money, intellectual support, whichever way you can get engaged with MFOH, we're happy to have you. Our website, mercyfocusonhaiti.org. Please go to our site, find out which program you would like to support. You can send us an email to stay engaged. If you have any question, feel free to reach out to me. Marianne is here, Kathy Gauthier, so many of us willing to help you answer any questions. And if there's a topic that you would like for us to have a discussion on, please let me know so next time we can have another webinar where all of you are interested. So we want to hear from you. And thank you again for tonight. Really appreciate you. Anybody else from MFOH would like to say something? Please, you can unmute yourself. If not,
just thank you. Thank you, everyone. David, everyone. This was wonderful.
My pleasure. Thank you. I'm seeing all of the nice comments. Thank you very much.
There was a slogan that evolved during these tough times, which are so frequently what Haiti has endured. It went, Quitte Haiti vive, let Haiti live.
Mm.
Oh.
And it just rings in my mind all the time. The Haitians are living the faith that we cannot even imagine. It is so deep, I call it naked faith. They see God in everybody who comes there, and they convey God. And I'm sure God has never found a more faithful people.
Yeah,
really.
They deserve a bit better.
Yes.
For sure.
Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye-bye, David. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stay in touch.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Betty.
Now, Peter.
Now, Peter. This person is a pro in Creole for sure.
Well, I learned the language. I love Haiti.
Oh.
I would be there now. I'm 92 years old. I've been doing this work since 1980.
Wow.
And I sit here in Haiti. I have a room here in this retirement center. It's all about Haiti. All the walls are covered with Haiti.
Wow.
Everything. On my door are Haitian crafts. Anyway, I would give my life for Haiti if I could.
Oh, wow. Adele, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This is
Sign her up,
one of the
Betty.
best.
Sign her up.
I know.
One of the best conferences I've ever been.
Thank you,
Pardon?
everyone. We appreciate your being here.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, Petit Jean. I think you can stop the recording now, Gigi.
Oh, good point.
Oh,
Yay. Was he
I-
listening the whole time?
I know he was listening. I saw you. Oh, you're happy, right? They talk so much. Tout le monde content avec Haïtien.
Oui, c'est une très belle initiative. Moi, je suis toute rencontre là. Et puis, je suis bien content. Moi, saluer et remercier journaliste là qui t'a bien fait ça.
Mhm.
D'accord. Même d'habitude, on l'autre rencontre tout et avec préparation, ordination, mon service, mais nous tous des dossiers.
Oh,
Et moi, je
OK.
suis toute bagaille.
OK, d'accord.
En tout
Bye-bye.
cas,
N'a
c'est
parlé.
très bien comme initiative, hein.
Merci. OK.
J'espère que nous sommes capables de faire l'autre rencontre pour ça et la très intéressant pour expansion et mes courage et puis avec le travail qu'on a fait.
OK,
Est-ce qu'il y a
d'accord.
un petit cap sorti?
On a travaillé sur ça.
OK.
OK,
What's he
bye-bye.
Bye
saying?
bye.
Does he-
Bye-bye.
I need a translation.
I know he was he said he loved the whole idea. I had the reporter, the journalist presented Haiti and the history behind it. He's actually following. He's on 2 devices, following another the coronation of the bishop